So speaking of which, for more on all of this, let's bring in none other than Jay Clayton. He's the former SEC chairman, and we're so pleased, Chairman, to have you with us. Sarat Sethi is here for this discussion as well. Right off the bat, as Tyler was just asking, the way in which the SEC chair himself has become such a political football means what exactly? Do you think he would ever feel pressure to resign if the administration changed or anything like that?
Well, Kelly, nice to be with you. And there was a technical discussion of the chair of the SEC and the body of the SEC with the commissioners, and it was exactly right. And that is that while commissioners are appointed for a term, the chair is generally designated by the president. And the chair typically switches when there's a switch in administration. And in some cases, in fact, in the case of my tenure and in the case of my predecessor, knowing that there was a switch in administration and knowing that the chair would change, the existing chair, the current chair, takes their leave and moves on. So, look, this is entirely up to Chair Gensler as to what he would want to do in that event. But there's precedent for leaving the position altogether or simply leaving the position as chair.
And just to clarify on that, can the president take away the chairmanship and just have some? I
That
see.
is correct.
So maybe he remains commissioner, but not the chair.
Correct, Kelly.
Interesting. All right. So with that covered, what would you say, Chairman, retrospectively about the way in which the SEC has handled the emergence of crypto as an asset class?
Well, look, please call me Jay. And Sarat had this exactly right. One of the fascinating things about crypto is that it came not through the institutional markets where most of the financial product development takes place. Most of the financial product development in the globe takes place in the U.S. in our institutional markets. Crypto, digital assets, really came globally and at the retail level. So the development was something very new for, I would say, regulators across the globe in the way that it came about. And there have been a lot of old lessons relearned and new lessons learned. You know, one of the old lessons relearned and learned in a tough way was that when you raise money from the general public in America, that's an incredibly rigorously regulated transaction. We protect the public from securities offerings in an incredibly rigorous way. And this was the ICO craze and the like. And I think that those regulations have been shown. On the other side, what I think regulators have had to learn is that this technology could be, and it's in many ways has become, a step change for existing processes and some new processes, including what I would say is the rise of stablecoin, which is one of the more remarkable developments in finance in the last decade.
Sarat, jump in.
Jay, can you talk more about stablecoin and kind of where you see the future of stablecoin? Because it's really, as you say, kind of garnered a lot of enthusiasm amongst retail investors. And where do you see that going in terms of, maybe institutional transactions? And how does that all work in this regulated world that we live in?
Well, stablecoin has proven to be an astonishing facilitator of dollar-based global transactions in that you can now do dollar-based transactions around the globe in very little time with very little friction, as compared with, wire transfers, money transfers taking hours or days and requiring, what I would say is lots of fees and the like. Stablecoin transactions take place virtually instantaneously and with very low friction. And what we're seeing is a tremendous amount of retail dollar transaction take-up outside the United States. I think this is an incredibly bullish thing for the dollar around the globe, and one that our regulators really need to focus on, because the benefits of dollar hegemony, the benefits of the dollar being the basis for transactions around the globe is so important to the United States. It's so important to the globe from the stability point of view. If there's a better technology to accomplish that, we should be figuring out how to facilitate it.